Hello guys, my name is Joseph Jerry. Today I'm going to teach you how to make your own search engine page just like the one I have here on my screen. And the first thing I want you to help me do is to click right on the subscriber button, like and share this video to help other developers learn how to make their own search engine page like this one. And right inside of my desktop, I'm going to create a folder, and on inside of my folder I have two subfolders. One of it is my CSS folder where my style sheet will be, and the other is my image folder. Already I have a list of images inside of my image folder, and one thing I want you to take note of is when downloading your icon, make sure it's a PNG file. I'm going to open up my folder making use of Visual Studio text editor. Yes, of course you can make use of any text editor of your choice. And right while this is open, I'm going to click on my CSS folder to create a new my style sheet, and I'm going to click also on this open environment to create my index page. I'll change the title of my page to search engine. Now let's go back to the project to see what we're about to do. Now we have three divisions here. We have our navigation, which is our header, we have our body, and we have the footer. So I'm going to create a div for this. The first is, which is our header, I'm going to call top, and the body I'm going to call this middle, and at the bottom, which is our footer, I'm just going to call this footer. And right inside of our top, which is our header, we have an image and we have a list of navigation here. So instead of that image, I'm going to create a div for it. Yeah, I'm going to insert an image inside of it and call direct my picture. I think I should give this a title so that when a user over on it, the name of that user would show. And we want to create a list of navigation here. So right under our image, I'm going to go right under it and create a list. I'm going to copy this and paste 2 times, and inside of the first one is profile sign out, profile sign out, and the last is an icon, which is our image, an image setting, which is this little icon here for setting. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to think we're done with the header. I'm going to go straight into our middle, and the first thing we have instead of middle is a little icon here. I'm going to firstly create a form of get method, and right inside of the get method, I think that's where I should insert our logo. And right under it, I'm going to give a break line of 5, and under which we should have an input search. And now we're done. We have a little icon as well here, so I'm just going to create an input of image, and I'm going to direct my source to my image folder, and we should have the search button, which is a logo, or rather an icon. And now we're done with the body. We're just going to move straight to the footer quickly, and if I count, we have 5 elements here, or 5 lists. Right inside of it, I'm going to create an unordered list of, I think I should put this inside an A tag. I'm just going to copy this 5 times. And the first one we have was help, The second, it was back feed or feedback. The other we had was support. And the next is frequently asked question. And the last is terms and condition. Now we're done with this. We're going to go straight into our styling, and if I should view this in our browser, this would be looking messy, but we're going to style it, so there's nothing to be worried about. Now I believe if you're following me, this is what you should have also in your web page. It's looking messy now. What I normally do is I start from top to bottom so that you can as well follow me. Now I am going to split my screen, open up my CSS, and I'm going to split my screen. You can click here to split the screen. And why I love doing this is because I want to have my HTML at my left side of my screen so that I can easily so I don't have to navigate from one page, so that I just have them both on my screen. Here, now that we have our screen splitted with our HTML and CSS, I'm going to zero out all padding. If you go back, you see we have a white space on top of our page and instead of our page. So that's because by default it has a padding and a margin. So I'm just going to zero that. Now if I refresh, nothing is working. That's because we forgot to link our CSS to our index page. So I'm just going to, instead of our HTML page, I'm just going to create in a link, and instead we have our folder, and this is what is necessary here. So we have the main.css instead of our CSS folder, and when I go back to our web browser to refresh this, we see that all the padding and margin has been zeroed out. And what I'm going to do next, inside of our page, I'm going to just speak to all the A tags to remove all underlines. So I'm going to say A, and I'm going to say text decoration, which would be none. And if I refresh this, you see that all lines under it has been gone. And I'm going to say color of gray, and if I as well also view that we have the color of gray, I'm going to come inside our default setting, and I'm going to say font family to be Lato. Yep, and that's what we have. Now let's go straight into our, now what I want to do is whenever it is over open, I want it to have a style. So I'm going to say A tag. Whenever anybody over upon A tags, I want it to have a color. Very hard to type and talk at the same time. So I'm going to give this an hexadecimal number of 33. So if I move my mouse closer, you see we have a dark blue. That's because of the overing. And we're just going to move one straight into one thing. I would just want to do something straight. So I'm going to start talking to the top. So I'm going to say top. I'm going to give this top a width of 100, and we also want this to float left, and I want it to have a padding inside of its container of 20 pixels. And when we refresh, we're not going to take note of anything because but the padding is showing on top. And we're going to talk to the image so that you can see what's going on. So I'm going to say top.img, and inside of our image I'm going to float. I'm going to give this image a width of 100 pixels and height of 100 pixels as well, so that we have a perfect square. And if I refresh this, we should, that's for the container, not the image itself. So inside of the top.img img. Now this is the container, and this is the image. That's why it's not having a dot. So I'm going to give this a width of 100% and also at a height of 100%. And if I refresh this, we have that little. So and right inside of our image, I want it to have a border radius of 50%. Now it's round. I think the next thing we are going to do is to talk to the list of elements we have, and I'm just going to go inside of the top till then UL, and I'm going to float my UL to the right of our page. And if I do that correctly, we should have the image. Now the reason why we're not seeing it is because of this logo we have here. So if I go straight back to my index page, I'm going to give this a width of, this is the setting, I'm going to give this a width of let's say 20, so that we just see what's going on. And if I should refresh this page, you notice the link. Now we have these dots over here. What I'm going to do by default, I will just come in here and zero out all the li, because I know we have our footer that will also have a list, that's also a list, and we'll have that same style. So I'm just going to say li. I'm going to say a list style type to remove all the style, the dots that we have. Now it's gone, and I'm going to right inside of this same li, I can say let all the list in my page display inline. That means they should display horizontal. Now they are displayed horizontal. Now we have our icon coming up a little. I'm just going to do a little trick. I know this is something every most developer don't really do, but to do this quickly, I'm just going to copy out my image right inside of my list and cut this out and use a sub tag and paste there. And if I refresh, you see that our icon is now aligned with our list correctly. So we should go back to our li list on our style. All right, inside of our li here, I am going to do something quickly by giving it a padding of 20 pixels. That should give spacing inside of it. And now that we have this done, now we have our top UL, and I want to talk to this so that we have a color, a background color for that. I'm going to say top UL A, and I want to speak to the second element, so I'm just going to put 2 inside of it, and li, I want to speak to the second element in our list, and this should have a padding of 10 pixels, 10 pixels, and a border radius, I want it to be round a little, of 20 pixels. And we're going to give this a background color of hexadecimal of 336699. Yeah, and I'm going to give this a color of white. And if I go refresh, this is what we have. We have a border of 20 pixels, a background of hexadecimal, and we have a color of white inside of it, and also the border and padding inside, which is 10. So this is, I'm doing like, I can remove this one and we still have the same thing, top and bottom, left and right, to be 10 pixels. Now having done that, I think our image, so I think I can go back to our image folder here and float this left, and if I do that, we have our list coming top. So I think what I can do is come to this and increase this to 40. Now our image is kind of leaning to our left, so I'm going to come to, okay, I can just come in here and say 20 pixels. Okay, this is what I'm going to do quickly. I'm just going to come here and say margin left 20 pixels, and I want this to leave this wall just like the original file we have a space in here, so I want it to leave that space. Margin left of 20 pixels. All right, and one thing I also want us to do is from our UL, I just want to say margin top 20 pixels as well. I want our UL to come down a little. Now I'm going to change this to 20 from our top. I think it's perfect now. And the last thing I want to do is to, now let's talk to the middle. We think we're done for the top. I'm going to put this on our middle so that you can see what we are doing right here. So right inside of my CSS, we're going to start styling our middle, and that will be simple. So dot middle, I'm going to give this a width of 100%, and normally I would want to float this left, and if I do that, nothing special would happen, but if you understand what I've just done, you should know why I'm floating that left and giving it a margin. I'm going to give this a margin top of 60 pixels. So I want it to be line, a very huge one down, and I'm going to go inside of my image tag of my logo here, which is inside of my HTML page, and I'm going to give this a width of 100 and see how this would look like. Okay, small, so I'm going to say, let me make it 200. Okay, it's good. Right inside of my CSS, I'm going to say instead of my middle tag, I'm going to say all elements should be centered at the center of our page. Yeah, and now we're done with that. I should also do the same thing with our icon. For our icon here, for a search bar thing inside of my HTML, I'm just going to give this a width of, let's say, 200 as well. 200. Okay, I think that's much. Let's say 20 and see what we have. 100 will do. 150 should do. 100 should do. Okay, I'm just going to leave that for my 100. And now we're done with our middle. I think if there's any problem, we're going to come back to it to style it. I'm going to style my form. So I'm going to give this a width of 60%, and I'm going to say margin auto. When I want this, I want the computer to make calculate our margin while our width is 60%, and that is done. Is at the center, and we want to talk straight to our input. So I'm going to say the type we're going to talk into is the search. And first thing I want to do is to float this left, and after I've been floating left, I'm going to say I want it to have 88%, and I'm going to give this an height of 40 pixels, and I'm going to take away when I do this. Now you see this color when we click on our search box, you see the black color is because of an outline. I'm going to take that out, outline to be none, and also I want the font size of our input to be 20 pt, and I also want to take away the border. I want the border to be taken away, and I'm going to say margin top and bottom to be 0 pixels, and I want this to have 1% of its left and right to be okay. Let me continue styling. I think we are going to give a padding top of 10 pixels, and also a padding bottom of 10 pixels as well. So what I'm going to do, just take away this, since I want top and bottom over padding. So I'm going to say top bottom to be 10%, 10 pixels rather than the 0. The left and right should just be 0. Now our border is there, that because we zeroed out the border, so our input, our text is still there. I should bring that out. I'm going to say border bottom. I want this to have 2 pixels solid and a color of gray. Now there it is. So many of you like, it's gone. No. So I want to give this a color of gray, and whenever I type inside of it, it should just have a nice gray color. All right, I think we are almost done with the middle, and now we're done with that. I'm going to move straight into the search button. So I'm going to say input. I want the type to be image. I'm taking my time to do this so that you understand what we are doing. Width of 10%. So from the beginning I gave this a width of what, 88, and I, instead of 88, to make it 90%, I shared left and right to be 1 1. So from the left is 1% to our right is 1%, so we should, that be total of 90%. And from our 90%, I'm giving our image button here to be 10%, which makes it 100%. And I'm going to float this left so that just stay close to, yeah. And I think we're done with the middle, so we're going to go straight into the footer. So the footer, I'm just going to say take a width of 100%, and I want you to float left. And having float left, I want your text, every text of you to center, to be at the center of our page. And is at the center, I'm going to say position. Now, without wasting much of our time to say margin bottom, I would have done that, but I just want to try something new. I was going to say position. I'm going to give this absolute, and if I refresh this, it's going to come at the top of our page here. That was what I'm expecting. And I'm going to say I'm going to give it a left of 6%. And I want you to I want to be at the left side of this, and as well I'm going to say bottom to be having links, and it should be at the center. And the last thing I'm going to do for this is just give it the padding so that we have the space under and all over it. So I'm going to give it a padding of 30 pixels. That should do, and it's at the top and the center, so I don't have to bother. So now we have one big problem. we have a navigation bar. We don't want to have that. So I'm going to come on top. If you go, don't create, I think don't come inside of your default to create an overflow. That will cause a lot of problem. So I'm just going to go come inside of this and say body, and overflow should be hidden. And if I refresh our page, I think everything is gone. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you for spending much of your time to learn from this video. I hope to see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I think it's going to be an awesome time when we actually sit together to learn. And I want you to not to leave other developer out, so share this video to help them also learn how to make a search engine page, share on social media, everything. And I think we'll be seeing later. Thank you so much.